there's a clear difference in the wording, and that is unarguable. But the effect is exactly the same. That is the point I am making. Now, therefore...
I beg the noble Lord's pardon. I have the greatest respect for him. But in her speech, my noble friend Baroness Hollis said explicitly that she had drafted her amendment with the explicit help of the Clerk of the Parliaments. And the Clerk of the Parliaments had said that it was not a fatal amendment. Is the noble Lord challenging that?
I cannot gainsay the Clerk of the Parliaments. Heaven forbid if I did that. The wording, I'm sure perhaps what was meant was that the wording of the noble Baroness Lady Hollis's amendment is not of a kind that one associates with a fatal amendment. Nevertheless, the traditionally worded fatal amendment is that in the name of the noble Baroness Lady Manzoor. I'm sure the noble Baroness Lady Hollis got good advice, the best advice there is. But what we are looking at is what would happen if her amendment were carried. And I am saying that it would frustrate the government's intent.
I'd just like to ask the noble Lord the Minister, does he think that it would be impossible, if either of these two amendments were passed, for the government to bring back regulations to this House, a statutory instrument to this House?
Well, the problem is that the noble Baroness Lady Hollis's amendment holds the government hostage. It holds it to ransom. We might be able to bring back some different regulations, but what if those were unacceptable to the House? We would be... Read the wording of the noble Baroness's amendment. It puts us onto a perpetual treadmill.
There is a very important distinction, actually, between the amendment of noble friend Baroness Hollis and my own amendment. The crucial point about the amendment that I tabled, also not a fatal amendment, is that all it asks for is some time and some information, which is a very, very different thing from asking the government actually to spend money on transitional arrangements. I have put down this amendment only for one reason, and that is because the House of Commons has a cross-party motion on Thursday, which they wish and will debate, with 8 Conservative MPs, including former Cabinet Ministers' names on it. Does the Minister accept that to give the government time to listen to the Commons is actually entirely an appropriate duty for this House to perform?
I understand what the noble Baroness is seeking to achieve here. The fact is the House of Commons has looked at this 3 times and has not overturned the proposals. In fact, it's approved the proposals. And I would simply say to the noble Baroness that there is if we're talking about the advice given by the Clerk of the Parliaments, there is a crucial difference between an amendment which it is procedurally permissible to bring before the House and an amendment which it is constitutionally proper for the House to approve. I don't take issue with the noble Baroness bringing her motion here or the noble Baroness Lady Hollis. What I do take issue with is the idea that we should vote in favour of either of them, or indeed that of the noble Baroness Lady Manzoor.